which is a sensitive, if signposted, portrayal of life inside a deaf community, as seen through the eyes of a young person who was born as a female but is transitioning. And Unsound is, well, it's accessible mainstream fare, which I think is very unusual, and I'm very pleased that it is. Now, this particular person used to be called Hannah, but now he is now known as Finn, played by, I think it's Yana Pandelis. By day he helps by day he helps teach sign language, and by night he operates a dance nightclub in a community centre in Sydney's northern beaches. And it's in the latter guise that Finn is constantly running into trouble with the law by turning up the music too loud. Now, with, I presume at that stage it was a she, with her mother having passed away, he is now being raised by his understanding father, Lewis, played by Todd McKenney. Finn's determined to make a stand for hearing impaired people to be treated with the respect that they deserve. And when we first meet him, his long hair is an issue because he perceives that it signals that he is too feminine. He's actually intent on cutting it, but finds it difficult to do that because it's exactly the way his beloved mother wore hers. Finn's life's about to change, though, when he meets a British guitarist called Noah, played by Rhys Noy. He's a cut-and-run guy who's been working with a 90s pop icon called Monica, played by Christine Arnoux, doing retro shows in, I think it's in London pubs, if I'm not mistaken. But mid-tour, sick of constantly recycling the same songs and looking to compose and deliver his own material, he calls it quits. Right? This is the Noah character. He buys a plane ticket to Sydney, where his mum, Angela, played by Paula Duncan, whom he hasn't seen for years, lives. Shocked to see him, Angela is still carrying scars from the past, where her musician husband or partner up and left her and Noah. Gay, Noah has taken the same attitude to relationships as to his work, namely he doesn't stick with them. Not sure what's next for him, one night he wanders into Finn's dance club, where at that time there's no music to be heard. The pair strikes up a friendship, which quickly becomes something more, but Noah's lack of reliability will prove an obstacle, even though Finn appears to have found the happiness he's been craving, and vice versa. So this movie, Greg, touches on issues of identity and community, and I think it handles them with care. What do you think?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, then you can only imagine. I'm sure my words are resonating with you. What about you, David?
Yeah, look, I thought this was a very interesting film. I grew up with a hearing impaired auntie, and I always found it difficult as a child to be able to learn anything about Auslan or anything like that, because there was nothing around. I think this film looks at deafness sensationally well. My only issue with this film was there seemed to be a really weird part in the middle of this film where I don't know whether there's been a part cut out or in the editing suite, but Finn basically has a meltdown in front of her father Lewis, or his father Lewis, and then the very next scene is Lewis sitting opposite the breakfast table saying, I can see that you're happy at the moment. This relationship must be good for you. It seemed really, really weird that would be the next scene after Finn has a meltdown. So I don't know whether there is another cut to the film out there somewhere where there's something that we're missing there or not. But I thought this was a great Australian production, but I know a few people that have been kind of left a little bit shocked by that scene.
Yeah, interesting observation. I do certainly recollect that, and I presume there's an assumption that one makes as an audience member, which is what I just went with it, so to speak. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, I did too. I really liked the film too. I think it's a nicely observed sort of romantic drama to some extent, and yes, dealing with issues of identity, etc. I think it might have reflected Finn's sort of changing his character in terms of female to male, etc. And I suppose there was an expectation or an acceptance of behaviour changes that might occur during that process. Look, I thought it was a good film. It deals with the deaf community very well. It's interesting, when I spoke to Ian Watson, who's the director of the film, he said that they had real issues about casting the film, and they decided to go with a female actor to play the Finn role, and he agreed that could have created some issues of representation, which we've been talking about with other films as well, like music and so on.
But she did a good job, Pete.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, did you? So, I mean, okay, so you enjoyed it overall or not?
I did. I thought it was a good, solid film, well made, well written and acted, and a good, strong Australian film. Yep.
It certainly points out the gaps in understanding and tolerance. Look, I on the one hand commend Ali Burnham's screenplay. I also thought it was a bit too saccharine sweet. Did you not think that, Peter? I mean, it got few, if any, surprises to me.
I think it was very subtle in the way that it developed the characters, the personality changes, etc. that was happening.
I didn't think it was actually. I mean, it's interesting. It's not to say that we aren't along for the journey. That simply it could have been a more challenging one. Nevertheless, bringing the subject matter to a populist audience is no mean feat in and of itself, and she certainly succeeded in doing that, Ali Burnham. But by and large, I thought that Jana Pandelis did a great job portraying Finn's vulnerabilities as he seeks to forge his own path, and Rhys Noy presents Noah as a bloke who's well-meaning but afraid of commitment. There's some beautiful postcard shots of Sydney, isn't there? Really, really nice. And I thought it had a television feel about it, though, which is not surprising given that the director, Ian Watson, is best known for quite a lot of popular television work, and this is his feature film debut. It is laced with humorous undertones, and there's just enough drama in the movie to see us through to its obvious conclusion. That's how I saw it anyway. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, Peter.
I give it 7 out of 10. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. And Dave Griffiths?
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. And I should point out, too, that Jana Pandelis is actually hearing impaired as well, so she was able to help a lot with the Auslan language that's used during the film as well.
That's right. Really important we point that out. 84 minutes, MA rated, Unsound is the name of that picture. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sorry, folks, for